let's go ahead and dig into this conversation about Dave Chappelle that is brewing. There have been reports and now video has come showing Dave Chappelle standing against a particular development happening in his community. Now, I want to contextualize it. This is his home. And so, yeah, this is going to be something he's going to be active on. A lot of people disagree with the side that he's on. So I just want to read this a little bit from the article. And before we play the clip, this is from the Dayton Daily News. Multiple Yellow Springs villagers, including entertainer Dave Chappelle, lobbied against the project being the development project that was going to bring multiple units, including some low-income housing. Chappelle even threatened to pull his business interests from the village, which included a plan for a restaurant called Firehouse Eatery. That's Chappelle's company, Iron Table Holdings, they purchased this company and they're going to invest in the community. Chappelle is using his personal capital as protest against this particular development, not the entire development, but the low income housing portion of it. We have some clips, but before we go there, Brother Mac, I don't know how much you're following this, but I want to get some of your thoughts if you are.
Well, first of all, I think that when you get inside the particulars of that article, the headline itself reminds me of the way that the police filed their report and what their claim is until you look at the video camera and you see that what they put in the police report isn't very accurate. So we have used a quote by Dr. King, which says that the purpose of education is to save man from the morass of propaganda. And what we know morass to mean is a very complex situation. And it is clear to me that the headlines used in this particular case is used for sensationalism, and they paint Dave Chappelle in a very negative light, which isn't a very true situation as we peel the onions back of this somewhat complicated situation, this morass, if you will. So I think that when a person simply looks at the headline, they assume that Dave Chappelle is against affordable housing. And as far as I'm concerned, based on what Chappelle has said and based on what I read, nothing could be further from the truth, but we can get into it now.
Okay, so let's play a couple of clips. I think the first clip that we have is the village of Yellow Springs, Ohio, in their vote to kill an affordable housing component. That's the headline that we have, but let's see it and hear it for ourselves.
Hi, I'm Dave Chappelle. I just want to say, and Marianne, I can talk to you about this privately. I don't know why the village council would be afraid of litigation from a $24 million a year company while they X out a $65 million a year company. I cannot believe you would make me audition for you. You look like clowns. I am not bluffing. I will take it all off the table. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So
let me give a couple of more notes here before we go any further. This is again from the Dayton Daily News. The development that council voted on Monday night would have included 64 single-family houses, 52 duplexes, 24 townhomes, with an additional 1.75 acres to be donated to the community for affordable housing to be built later. With the proposal rejected, the zoning reverts to what was previously approved, with 143 single family units on the lot, with the home starting at about $300,000, according to village documents. The village annexed about 34 acres of the land into the village last summer. Those are some particular details about the deal. But Brother Mac, you've dug into this, sounds like it.
Well, and again, that's part of the situation that we have to look at is the affordable. First of all, when you think about affordable housing, the housing that they're talking about putting in, those price ranges go from anywhere from $250,000 up to $600,000. Now, there's nothing that says affordable housing at those prices. That's number one. Number two, what they're talking about is the city that we're talking about is Yellow Springs, Ohio. Now, I've never gone to Yellow Springs, Ohio, but based on what I've read about it, it appears that there's a certain, I'm going to use the adjective motif. You know, it's a certain flair, that a certain style that the city has, a certain culture, a certain look that it has. And now what you have is a developer who's coming in and saying, no, I just want to build these houses, sprawl these houses out across there. So maybe it's the look of this of Yellow Springs that is in part of why Chappelle is opposed to it. That's number one. Number two, as an engineer, I used to work on the design and build up of wastewater treatment facilities. So what happened in Seattle is all of a sudden you had this influx of people coming from everywhere to now take up residence in the greater Seattle area. So as you know, on one hand, you welcome in all these people, home prices are going up, all these things are happening, but you didn't have an infrastructure in place to deal with all these people. Now, I'm talking roads. So in a drive that used to take you 15, 20 minutes, now all of a sudden it's taking you 50 plus minutes because your roads can't handle the number of people who are now moved into the area, because as an urban planner, you didn't prepare for that. So traffic became an issue. As it becomes, as we deal with wastewater treatment. Now, if you ever been to Seattle, you know that Seattle is God's country. There are beautiful mountains, there's beautiful lakes, there's Elliott Bay, Puget Sound, all of these. So now imagine a wastewater treatment facility that is built to handle a certain amount of people. Well, when that you start having even more people come in, and now everybody's flushing their toilets, and that wastewater treatment facility cannot handle the raw sewage that is coming into it. Guess where that raw sewage is going, Ben? It's going into beautiful Lake Washington. It's going into beautiful Elliott Bay. It's going into Puget Sound. Right here in D.C., if as D.C. started growing and you didn't accommodate it for infrastructure, all of a sudden, when you flushed the toilet, instead of it going to the wastewater treatment facility, it was going to the Potomac River. So the infrastructure, safety, schools, the design of the city. So on its face, Dave Chappelle said, this developer is just coming in here saying he just wants to build all these homes, not caring about the safety, not caring about traffic, not caring about infrastructure. And then of all the plots they had, I believe that they said that they had 143 plots. Of the 143 plots, only 3 of them were designed for quote unquote affordable housing, and they were to be built in the future. So see, now when you start talking about 143 lots, and of those 143, only 3 were supposed to be quote unquote affordable housing. So the headline is very misleading. And the reason they use that headline is because it is Dave Chappelle. They knew. Now, if you want to talk about a capitalistic society, if I'm running a newspaper and I want people to come to my site and read about this and let my article be the talk of the town, well, let me paint Dave Chappelle as a person who is against affordable housing. Nothing could be further from the truth. And I think Dave Chappelle and his publicist made a statement to the fact that, no, Dave Chappelle is not against affordable housing. On his face, he was against the nonsense that this developer wanted to come in and take the look and feel of Yellow Springs, Ohio, and simply says, no, I'm going to acquire this amount of land. I'm going to come in and I'm going to build all these homes. I'm going to get my money. I don't care about the infrastructure of the city. I don't care about the safety. I don't care about traffic. I don't care about anything. I just want to come in there and get my money. And now, fine, we could use Dave Chappelle as saying he's against affordable housing, which isn't going to be built. And these homes that they're talking about, I'll remind you, these homes range in price from $250,000 to $600,000 in Ohio. Ain't nothing affordable about that, Ben.